Is work not working for you anymore? Well, instead of quitting, reinvent yourself right where you are. Here to share how we welcome the author of Red Cape Rescue, Save Your Career Without Leaving Your Job. Darcy Eikenberg is joining us today. Darcy, look forward to talking to you.
Oh, me too, Kara. Thanks so much for having me today.
You have really good tips for people because you're saying you can take control of your career again without taking the drastic measures.
Yeah, I really worry that we get into this mindset of whenever we hit some kind of a speed bump or a crisis at work, or maybe a crisis inside us, that we think that the only solution is to go find another job. But, that's not easy. And so often there are so many things that we actually can control right in our own backyard, right in ourselves, that help us actually make our work better for us right where we are and just as we are.
Well, and especially right now, it's like you either want to jump ship fast and just like make that drastic measure, or you're staying and you're just going to be unhappy, right?
Right. And that strategy doesn't work either. I've talked to a lot of people who said, well, everything, I should like what I'm doing, or I work for a great company, or I make good money, but the suck it up and sacrifice strategy isn't a good one for your life either. I mean, we can't just tolerate our life at work. I really have seen so many examples where we can make small changes in ourselves to change our lives at work so that we don't have to change everything else in our life.
Yeah, no one likes those words, right? Suck it up. For sure.
Exactly.
What do you find is the biggest mistake that professionals are making when they hit this time?
I think one of the biggest mistakes is feeling that you don't control anything in your career, when the truth is you control three very important things. You control everything you think, everything you say, and everything you do. And honestly, that's it. But it's a lot. When you start thinking about, have I actually said the things I need to say? Have I asked for the things that I need? And there's a chapter in the book that goes specifically into how to ask for what you need, because we all know that sometimes we think people should know, but they don't. We can't read each other's minds.
That first one's really huge. I feel like we talk a lot about mindset, but to really understand that you choose what you think. Because a lot of times you just feel like your thoughts are yours and they just, fly with you, but really you do have control over them.
Yeah, there's the concept in the book that I talk about called Conquering the Battle of the Brain. And it is mindset. But it's recognizing that so much of this is biology, that, our brains were just built to protect us. I mean, dear little things, they were just trying to keep us safe. But so often when we want to do bigger things, when we want to grow or want to keep learning, staying safe isn't the way to do it. And not listening to that little part of the brain that's going to hold you back, but instead you're really listening to the whispers from the person that you are meant to be, and taking some risks and moving forward. And there are risks that won't hurt you, that you can try some more things and you have more control than you think you ever did.
But that's the tough part for a lot of people, is taking those risks, having the tough conversations. So what tips do you have for those people who are like, I know what I need to do, it's just how do I do it?
Right. First of all, one of the things that I think keeps a lot of people from moving forward or from, having that tough conversation is they think that no one else really cares, that it's just about me, and like no one wants to listen to the things that I want. But the truth is, look inside your organization right now. There's pain there. There is something that you solve. Quite honestly, you probably make it look easy about what you do. And there's incentive for your employer, for your colleagues, for other people to consider changes and to try different changes. But if you don't ask for what you need, if you don't step forward or choose to do some things differently, you're never going to get the results that you want. And I always tell people to remember, somebody out there needs you. So if you're playing small, if you're hiding, they're never going to be able to find you.
Do you have any tips in actually starting that conversation? I know every situation is different, but is there any kind of golden rule of like kind of a good way to kick it off?
One of the ways to kick it off is also thinking about your own approach. How are you feeling? And I call this assuming positive intent, because often when we think about a tough conversation, we go into it thinking, they're not going to like it, or this is going to be a hassle on them. But what if we assume positive intent first? what if we assume that when we approach somebody that it's going to be something that might be helpful, or that they're going to come back, they're going to be open to this conversation. So being able to first start with where we come from, it's like, I know that you're interested in being helpful, and I know that you are interested in, making sure that we're all successful here. When you can start the conversation, not adversarially, but assuming positive intent, you end up making it easier on yourself, and you also helps relax the other person that, this isn't a conflict. This is just a conversation.
It's so true. One of your chapters is called Drop Some Balls. And for those people who are really overwhelmed, right, they don't feel like they can actually drop any balls. Like, which one would you actually choose to drop? So what do you say to people who kind of don't even know where to go with that route? Everything seems important.
Yeah, I just interviewed a woman. The interview will be on my blog at redcaperevolution.com shortly, who actually went through this, and where she was working in a job where she felt like everything's important. I couldn't possibly not do anything. And she found herself in the ER, almost ready to have a stroke. Her blood pressure was so high. And when she looked back, she realized so many of the things that she could let go of, some reports, meetings, ways that she had decided over the years to do her job that had changed, that weren't necessary. So being able to look at, what you're doing and really assess, does this really matter anymore? Maybe it mattered a year ago. Maybe it mattered, it mattered to your former boss. But dropping so many of those things that just become busy work, or that just become things we think we should do because we should, there's so much. I actually found about 20 to 30% in most of my clients that you can free up by really taking a hard look at what is of value and what's not. And there's some things you can drop without anybody knowing, without telling anybody. And there are some strategies in the book about how to try some experiments and how to involve others in doing some tests to do some things differently.
Well, this conversation very much of value. Darcy, thank you so much. Great tips.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And again, the Red Cape Revolution and Darcy's book is The Red Cape Rescue, Save Your Career Without Leaving Your Job. We'll have a link to her website and more information on the AM Northwest page at KATU.com. But don't